Hey, everybody. How the heck are you? Beautiful day today out here in Southern Colorado. Snow and rain, and we don't have any giant hailstorms going on or tornadoes, thankfully. Bob Gilpatrick's with us. He just dealt with some tornadoes. Wow. I can't believe Florida was getting tagged with so much wind out there before the hurricane season. Extreme weather, extreme politics. The world's pretty intense right now. But you know what else I think is really cool? Because if you've heard the saying before, no reaction, there is an opposite and equal reaction with every action. So we might see some what people consider negative stuff in the news, but there's going to be something to counterbalance that. We're seeing that right now. Make America healthy again. Are we really going down that path? It appears so. We're not perfect yet, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. Bob was sharing some stuff with me before we started the podcast about what RFK Jr. is doing right now as HHS. And we've got some pretty big changes and also getting together with the big corporations. They're going to be changing the food pyramid. It seems like it's an inverted pyramid right now. It's called SAD for a reason. Bob's going to share with us the details about that. And I did want to let you know real quick before we get started that there is a huge sale right now at boomerboost.com. Buy one, get one, 50% off. You can see a multitude of products here. I take the Gladiator barley and the Boomer Boost pretty much every single day unless I'm out of stock or I don't have it with me. But I think this stuff is amazing. And everybody that I've ever given it to thinks the same thing. I read the comments every single day in the comment section about how much this stuff's changed their lives. Folks, do yourselves a favor. Get the Boomer Boost and Gladiator barley. You're going to freaking love it, and you're going to thank me later. But also, there's other products like probiotics, vitamin D3. You've got olive leaf extract. And the Clarity Factor is 10% off right now. This stuff is such a popular seller that they were out of it for 6 months. They've got it back in stock. And to add an additional 10% off, if you do the auto ship, you'll get an extra 10% off. So that's 20% off. The Clarity Factor is amazing. So some excellent products at boomerboost.com. And Bob, what's going on, man? I'm glad the tornadoes didn't get you.
Yeah. It was just north of us. We're in St. Petersburg, but everything from 20 miles north of us all the way up into the Panhandle got extreme weather. And, they had the Players Championship golf match in Florida over the weekend. And during that time when that extreme weather came through, they had to shut down the tournament for 4 hours.
Golfing in a tornado. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Oh!
So, yeah, really. The men are flying around the field, right? So, yeah.
Just lifting up the caddies. The caddies are flying away. Get them back here. Yeah, that sounds pretty intense, man. If you could win that, then yeah. Hello. They should actually be the new thing. Golf tournaments and tornadoes.
Yeah, I know. Dodge the tornadoes, right? After all that, it ended in a tie. And the two men that finished had to wait till the next day, and they had to get up the following Monday morning and play 3 holes to see who was going to win.
Nice.
So anyway,
battle golf.
Yeah,
coming to a state near you. Al Gore, where are you?
Yeah, it's going to be Al Gore against OJ.
Cheers to that. You've been getting a lot of extreme weather out there.
Yeah, we're still cleaning up. Yeah, we're still cleaning up from 5 months ago when we had those 2 hurricanes. It was 2 worst hurricanes in 100 years hit within 10 days of each other 5 months ago. So we're still cleaning up and renovating houses and stuff like that, putting the drywall back on. Now we're at the point where we're replacing the appliances, putting the kitchens back together. It basically wasn't a knockdown and start over, but it was about as close to it as you could get.
And does not sound like fun, man.
Yep, needed new floors, everything. So, and new electrical. So it's it's been quite an experience being involved in getting everything back together. There was 10,000 homes in our county that were damaged, and a lot of them had to be knocked down and taken away. So there's a lot of houses for sale in Florida right now. Anybody wants to buy a house that was flooded out, come to Florida, spend about 5 months waiting for your permit from FEMA in the city, and then you can start renovating it. Take you about another year. You'll have a nice house
In the meantime,
we have Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think about that? Is RFK Jr. taking the country in the right direction, in your opinion?
Yeah, so far, just things that he's announcing that he's going to do in the future have already started to move the needle. So last week he talked about that the United States Department of Agriculture is going to be working together with him to come out with new food guidelines for the country. So for the longest time, we've had, the food pyramid, and that they called the standard American diet or the SAD diet. And the SAD diet was kind of infiltrated by lobbyists and interests that ended up rendering most of our food unhealthy for us. So if you go to the typical grocery store, you're going to be buying processed foods, sugary drinks, and about between 20 and 25% of all the calories consumed in the US are from drinking soda pop. And so that you have a diabetes epidemic and an obesity epidemic as a result of this standard American diet. So RFK announced they're redoing that, and before the end of the year, they're coming out with brand new guidelines as to how people should eat. So in general, what it will be is less reliance on carbohydrates, particularly high glycemic index carbs that are basically sugary foods in a sense, and less reliance on seed oils. So their recommendation is going to be to start to eliminate seed oils from the diet, and those are the two biggest culprits to people's health. And already what we've seen is different companies are saying, okay, we're going to not fry with seed oils anymore. We're going to fry with this. And we've also seen states that are saying, okay, the food lunches, no more seed oils or highly processed foods in the food lunches. Every school in the state has to shift to this. And where they're shifting to is good. It's not perfect, but it's good. If they really want to do it, they'd also focus on organic foods, because you can have foods that are not seed oils or not super sugary, but they can still be loaded with pesticides. And having grown up in a area where pesticides were very prominent, because Cornell University was one of the leading agricultural research centers in the world. My dad was a professor of agricultural science at Cornell. So I grew up in the neighborhood where there was lots of experimental pesticides being sprayed everywhere as research projects. After they outlawed DDT, they had to go on this spree of testing new chemicals they created, one of which was glyphosate. And so I grew up in that area, and I knew how dangerous the pesticides were, because the average researcher at that facility died very young, including my father, from cancer caused by this. So that's one thing that you probably are going to see as a recommendation in the new diet, right? But it'll still be a problem, because 90% of all the food in the country is not organic food. It's food sprayed with pesticides. So at some point, RFK will have to really start to change that. And now that gets you into the whole issue with GMOs, because the GMO corn, for example, was created specifically because of the new herbicides that were created. So, Roundup was created first. Like, okay, we're gonna kill weeds with this new super weed killer, and it worked well. You could spray it on grass, like underneath an apple tree, and it would kill all the grass. And so now there was more water for the apple tree, so you got better apples, right? But you couldn't spray it in a cornfield because it would kill the corn. And so they had to create Roundup ready corn. And that's where GMOs came from. They made a genetically modified organism, which was corn, that could survive a very drastic herbicide designed to kill weeds. And so you, at some point, and then it turns out that GMOs cause their own problems, in addition to the pesticides that they were now married to. So at some point in the future, the real Make America Healthy Again will have to address that issue and start bringing us back to seeds that are pre-1940 seeds that we can grow and monitor the soil, tend to the soil in a way that requires less pesticides or no pesticides. So, for example, Rex, our barley product, is grown with no pesticides at all. And the reason we're able to do that is the soil is pristine and it's fortified with minerals and it's fortified with good bacteria so that you have very robust soil with lots of worms, lots of good bacteria, lots of minerals. And when you grow a plant in that type of soil, the plant is so robust and it produces its own chemicals to combat pests. And so it will grow without being damaged by swarms of insects, so to speak. Because plants produce their own insecticide if they're healthy and not genetically modified. And so in our case, they grow our pre-1940 barley in this soil. It becomes extremely nourishing and extremely strong, and it becomes a bully plant over time where it bullies out all the weeds and the like because of the way that it's tended to. And each year the seeds are expressed more and more and more, and there's more seeds on each stalk. And they're bigger seeds and stronger seeds and more nutritious seeds. And then you plant those and the next year's crop is even stronger. And we've been doing it for so many years now that you have basically almost like an extraterrestrial type of crop growing in northern Canada. And it's grown for boomers forever young, and they sprout the seeds. And that's what you get when you're using our heirloom barley or gladiator barley. And so when you see changes that are happening, positive changes, you already see, like here in Florida, Rick's, is this week, there's 2 separate counties are voting to take the fluoride out of the water.
Yeah, they're doing that in the entire state of Utah, I just read.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And this is not any kind of a mandate that RFK has put out, but he's hinting at it. People have known for a long time what he thought about it. And so they're taking the opportunity to make these changes and being on the team, right? So there's lots of people that want to be on the Make America Healthy team. And those are the people that are saying, hey, let's get the fluoride out. And then, you'll have a group of people saying there's all this research that fluoride's not good for you. It calcifies your pineal gland, et cetera. And then there's another group, they'll say, oh, but it helps prevent cavities. And there's another group that says, well, people should have a choice. They shouldn't be forced to have fluoride. If they want to talk with their health provider and get their fluoride treatments for their teeth, they can do that. All right. But don't force it on them. And so you're starting to see kind of this mini revolution happening between the seed oils and the fluoride, and we'll see what comes next after that. Right. But already right now, if people want to, you can go right to the pinnacle of healthcare and assume that everything that you could ever want RFK to implement for the nation, if you assume, hey, that would be like the paradise of my own choosing in regard to health and wellness, well, that's already here. But you just have to enter in to that field of information and the field of the suppliers of those types of products. And within this bubble of massive unhealthiness, you can have your own silo of extreme healthiness without much trouble at all. This is not, oh, I have to move to Costa Rica, and live in isolation and only eat this, and this. Not the case. You can sit here in an office on Central Avenue in St. Petersburg or out in Colorado, and you can already have that because you can purchase Gladiator era sprouted barley seeds grown in the most pristine farms anywhere on the planet, and you can order it in a canister and mix it in water and drink it, and it will detoxify a lot of the crap that got into your body over the years from living in the general environment. And that's another thing, Rex, that won't be addressed in the new food pyramid. It'll be a lot less sad, but they're not going to have anything in there about detoxifying your body from all the stuff that you've accumulated over the last 50 years, or the fact that the average child, when it's born, has about 470 toxic chemicals in its blood, right, that it got from its mom. Right. So how are you going to get rid of all those toxins? So the new world of Make America Healthy Again will benefit me to the max because I have a fresh start. I got rid of all of my toxins, and now the healthy food, great, now I can be healthy. But if you just start eating healthy food and your body is laden with toxins from the tire dust, smog, pesticides, GMOs, et cetera, eating meat that you overcooked, eating food that you've cooked in seed oils at too high of a temperature, your body's very gelatinous, and it's over 60% water. And so when we take in these toxins through our breath and through our mouth and through our skin, it accumulates in our body and creates disease. So our cells don't do well in that type of toxicity, and they become cancerous, or they become expanded and fibrous and give off inflammatory cytokines and accelerate our rate of aging. And so you want to be able to do a detoxification if you haven't already. And you can do about 90% of it using our sprouted barley seeds, because there's compounds in there, glutathione and superoxide dismutase, that will latch on to the toxins in your body and move them out of your body through your liver and your kidneys and your urine and your feces. And you can get a fresh start as if you weren't born with 472 toxic chemicals in your blood. Now you can have a fresh start. Now you also probably down the road are going to need some zeolite, because you're going to want to get rid of your heavy metals that all of them might not come out just with the sprouted barley seeds. But later on, you don't necessarily want to do both at once, because it'll overtax your kidneys and liver to detox too fast. That's why you take the barley in small amounts and you ease into it and go up and up and up slowly over a month's time, so you don't overtax your kidneys and liver, because your body, the average person's body, is extremely toxic. And if you take too much barley right at the beginning, you'll detox too fast and you'll be sick. You won't feel good. And so later, though, after a few months, 6 months, you start taking little drops of zeolite also. It'll pull all the mercury and other heavy metals, out of your body. All right. Now you can say, all right, now I've got this clean body, and now I'm ready, to really feed it the very best of the best. And when you are going to look at this new food pyramid, it's going to say, all right, we recommend you eat some of this, some of this, some of this, some of this, and it will kind of give you what will be a balance of carbohydrates, good fats, proteins, and if you do it exactly right, minerals and vitamins and the like. All right. And that's basic. That's the very basics, Rex, is macronutrients, how much carbs, what type, how much fat, what type, and how much protein from what. And then in what I'm consuming is there also vitamins and minerals. And that is the basic concept of a food pyramid. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't give you anything to detox your body. And it doesn't give you anything to dramatically reduce your inflammation. Because humans living in today's environment have very high inflammation in their body. And so inflammation leads to all the major diseases. So it just makes sense. You want to reduce your inflammation. And so we now know, modern nutritionists, modern science knows these are the compounds that are produced inside your body when you consume certain foods that are burning your body up with inflammation. And we know, and you know, life insurance companies, Rex, can look at your level of inflammation and other other biomarkers, and they can tell when you're going to die within 3 months. And so what do you want to do? You want that information that's going to your life insurance company to lead them to believe that you're not aging at all. Right, which is what we have been able to do with our customers. And I've told you the story about Larry, my business partner, who, when I met him, was 65 going on 85. The life insurance companies were surprised he was still alive. And about 9 months later, he got a new policy and they thought he was 33. And at the age of 66, looking like you're 33 by your biomarkers, essentially they're like, man, this guy's not really aging at all. As a matter of fact, he aged backwards. And they actually had to ask us if the date of birth on the policy application was correct, because they said, this guy can't be 66 years old. It looks like he's 33. Can you fix that on the application? And so that's our typical customer has reduced their inflammation by consuming superoxide dismutase, trimethylglycine, glutathione, proanthocyanins, vitamin A, C, and E, all these things that reduce your inflammation, and they're in the barley and boomer boost. And so now you're looking at a situation that's miles away from just simply a new food pyramid. You're looking at somebody who's detoxed. You're looking at someone who has reduced their inflammation by a factor of 10, from 3 on the scale, which is the average person, who will be dead by 85 years old, even if they never get sick. That's when you'll die of old age. It's the median maximum lifespan. To now, a person whose inflammation is not 3, it's 0.3 or 0.1, and you have almost zero inflammation, which means you're extremely unlikely to ever have a problem with heart disease, cancer, strokes, diabetes, or Alzheimer's disease. All these things are precipitated by high inflammation. And so you want to say, great, RFK is doing this, and he's doing this, and he's doing this. It's awesome. And what else can I do to be even more awesome, like off the scales awesome, in regard to my health and vitality and longevity? And if you're a person, Rex, that wants to stay on the planet, it kind of makes sense that you would do this. And if you wake up in the morning and you can say, thank you, God, for my life, thank you that I'm alive, that's a very good place to start your gratitude ceremony in the morning, right? Because, like, all right, what are you grateful for? Well, God's listening. What am I grateful for? Thank you for my life. I'm grateful to be alive. Because if you don't tell him, he might not know. And but if you're like, hey, I'm grateful to be alive, it sets up an energy that's like, okay, then we'll keep you alive, right? Yeah, so keep me alive and keep me healthy so I can enjoy stuff. I can get in my 4-wheel drive Jeep and go exploring petroglyphs in caves like some kind of crazy maniac, you know? And so you want to do stuff like that, you better be strong and healthy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
I'm also, when I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, man, what do we need to do as a society to get back to that grassroots of like healthy food and people being healthy? And I'm thinking to myself, maybe we go back to even the school system and show kids how to actually grow food, how, and show them what it's like if they're eating a steak, where that steak came from. Well, this is how it happened, and it might change the perspective of future generations. And then take them to these chemical factories, or these factories that make all these chemicals that then get put into the foods, like Cheetos. Cheetos is great, man. I grew up, I freaking love Cheetos. Absolutely love Cheetos. But you know what? I won't touch them now. And a friend of mine, friend of the family, delivered a truck once of the chemicals that make Cheetos orange, and like big semi truckload. And he's like, dude, if you knew what was in those Cheetos, you would probably never eat them again.
Yeah.
They're so good. And so anyway,
well, that's part of what's also the RFK is doing, Rex, is the dyes that are in our food, but not in food in Europe, right? Red dye number 3, just before he took over, was outlawed, and now they're going to do red dye number 40, and they'll be doing that with a lot of different compounds that are in our food that there are alternatives for. They might not be as easy, but they're much, much healthier. So I think that you're right. I think what's likely to happen is, with all this new information, it's going to change the curriculum eventually at the schools. So, hey, the school lunches are changing. Well, why is that? Right? Well, let's have, the school dietitian come in and explain to the class why we're doing it, right? What actually is healthy. And that will be a really, really big help. That'll create a societal change from mindless eating of Cheetos and drinking soda pop to, hey, maybe there is another way, and I don't have to be siloed, no pun intended, siloed by, propaganda that is making me unhealthy. And it's making young children very, very unhealthy. If you go to the average school, half the children are overweight. And when I was a kid,
I was just going to say probably the same thing you are. When I was a kid growing up, I was the chubby kid in class. There's only a couple of us. And actually, if I go back and look at how chubby I was, I was chubby. I was overweight. And nowadays I would be the one that was fitting in with half of the class. I wouldn't be one out of 2 kids that are overweight in the class.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much that's changed.
Yeah. In just a short time. But that it's now. And so now here we are in 2025, we're going to finally change the sad diet. Right. But at the same time, in 2025, there's been so much that has changed over the last 2 decades in regard to advances in health and wellness and nutrition that, we need to know about those things too. And that's why, if people are listening to the Leak Project for information on health and wellness, that's what we can provide, is that pinnacle of strategies for health and wellness, where literally you get to design your own health paradise and implement it and live it and really feel it and share it with others, so that it's, becomes part of your own energetic field that you're projecting, is this energy of health and wellness that inspires other people. And I think, that's why with our current president has asked a couple of very famous people that appear super healthy to be on his team and to be on RFK's team, including Sylvester Stallone, right? And it's like, okay, here's a pinnacle of health. Now, if we were to test his C-reactive protein and his level of heavy metal toxicity, I don't know what we would find, but hopefully you would find that he is where we are and that he is implementing these things. But one of the other things Rex, is it's great to have good nutrition, but are you real? First off, are you really sure? So, for example, the whole thing with seed oils. It's like, all right, well, what if we cook with the healthier oils, olive oil and avocado oil? All right, well, that's a good start, but 50% of what makes an oil healthy or not healthy is how you use it. So you can start with the healthiest of all oils, but if you put a whole bunch of olive oil into a frying pan and turn it on high, and all of a sudden it starts spitting and it meets its flash point, you heated that oil way too fast and it made it into an unhealthy oil. It took the bonds that are bonding together, the carbon, right, the hydrogen bonds, and flipped it from a cis bond to a trans bond, and now you have trans fats. So you just started with this beautiful olive oil and you rendered it into a massive toxin that you're now cooking your food in. And if you're cooking chicken in it, chicken is absolutely loaded with linoleic acid, which is a fat that's really, really bad for you. Now, chicken eggs are not. Chicken eggs have very little. But chicken itself, whether it's organic or not, has a lot of linoleic acid. So you want to make sure you eat that sparingly. All right. And that's the other thing that you have to watch out for with these new guidelines that come out. Do they address saturated versus unsaturated versus polyunsaturated fats and the content of omega-3, 6, 9, including linoleic acid? And if they do, if they address that in the new food pyramid, then you'll have really done something advanced and scientific, as opposed to, oh, we're just going to alter the amount of carbs that you eat versus fats. Right. And so you want to make sure, if you're going to cook something in oil, that you start with a good oil like an olive oil or avocado oil, and you turn the flame or your burner on very, very low and let it sit for 5 minutes, and then turn it up a little bit. Let it sit for another 5 minutes, turn it up a little bit more. And if you're going to cook with oil, you better plan for about a half an hour prep time, which is, I'm going to slowly heat the oil while I'm preparing the other stuff, chopping food, getting this ready, that ready. And so when the oil is hot enough, but before it hits that flash point, but it's hot enough to cook my food, that's when I put the food in. So I'm not cooking with trans fats and I'm not creating toxins where I started out with some really good food, right? Now, I used to own a company called Fry It Right, and we were the first people in the United States that actually used the European system of frying food. So they always start with oils with no trans fats, and they have these kettles that are being heated by a flame, and it's computerized, where the flame comes on just a little bit, and over the course of an hour, it slowly increases, and you watch the temperature, and you know that you didn't heat the oil so fast that you flipped the bond. And then they have these testers they put into the oil, testing the polarity, and they know if there's any trans fats in that oil. Now, over time, it'll flip to trans fats, even if you do it carefully. And so you have to know when to change your oil. And so we used to cook French fries. We would buy potatoes, and we would take the skin off the potatoes and then cut them into fries and put those into the oil that was prepared that way. And so you actually had healthy French fries. Right? But nobody else in the United States was doing that. And this was 20 years ago when we started that. And so you want to know that that's how they cook in Europe. We actually commissioned who they called the Frying Dutchman over in Belgium, came to the United States to teach our chefs how to cook this way. And when you go there over to that part of Europe, that's how they fry all their foods in a very precise, very health conscious way. So hopefully this type of stuff will start to come out with RFK as time goes by. Also, hopefully it will come out in his guidelines how to properly cook your meat, whether you're cooking with oil or you're cooking with dry heat. You're making baked chicken, or you're barbecuing, or you're broiling. Right? You want to make sure that if you're going to cook at anything over 100 or 350 degrees, that you use some moisture, you use some water or chicken broth or whatever it is, so that you won't create glycation, because high heat on dry heat takes the sugar in the meat and the fat in the meat, and they merge together and they create a glycotoxin, which even the CDC will tell you is one of the 2 leading causes of cancer in the United States, is eating overcooked meat, charred grilled meat. And hopefully in the guidelines it will address that, because if it doesn't, you can say, all right, well, we're going to eat this really good, super lean, organic meat. Well, great. If you don't cook it properly, you're consuming a massive amount of glycotoxins, which are going to cause cancer, almost certainly. So these are some of the tips and tricks, but they're also life-saving tips that we need to have the whole country understand in the new guidelines.
I'm taking notes as you're talking because this is also important. I'm trying to keep up with you. Yeah, that's one thing that I've been doing more lately since we've been talking about this. You've brought up bits and pieces of this before, cooking your meat at a certain temperature in liquid. And Kristen the other day she had some ground beef that she was going to make spaghetti with, and she was cooking it on a pan, and it was frozen. So I've done this a million times too, where you just like shave off the top part that's cooked, then you flip it over and you keep doing it over and over and over again, if you know what I'm talking about. I said, yep. Kristen, put some water in there. So she did. She put water in there. And anyway, so yep. I appreciate that. I've really adapted every once in a while, though, I got to admit, Pop, I still have a steak that's like charred. And I'm like, oh, it's so delicious. But
listen, Rex, you use gladiator barley.
I do.
And the gladiator barley strips those toxins out of your body on a daily basis. So you can't avoid toxins. It doesn't matter where you live. There's toxins in the air because there's tire dust in Colorado Springs and, Durango. And that stuff floats up a mile up into the air and comes down and cascades onto the food, into the water, onto your skin. You breathe it in as you're breathing. And so your body is always taking in toxins in this modern world. And so that's why you want to consume something on a daily basis that gets rid of the toxins that you took in the day before. So you're always fresh. You're always freshly cleaned. It's like taking a shower every day.
Let me jump in. For all of my friends and even those that I don't know in Salt Lake City, I love Salt Lake City. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. Utah, one of my favorite places in the world. I grew up in Utah, grew up in Salt Lake City. The inversion in Salt Lake City, it was bad 20 years ago. Now it's, in my opinion, really bad because you're in a valley surrounded by the Wasatch Front, and then you have another mountain range. So you're literally nestled in this valley surrounded by mountains. And if you drive outside of the valley up into the mountains, you can see the inversion, which is like, it looks pretty gnarly. You don't notice as much when you're down in it, but when you drive out of it, you can see it. So for those of you in Salt Lake City, get some gladiator barley, get some boomer boost, get some zeolite, because you're constantly absorbing and breathing in that inversion. And I love you all in Salt Lake City, man. That's my hometown. Mm-hmm. So I want to see y'all healthy out there.
There you go. Yeah, the air there is not quite chewy, but it's getting close.
And it sucks because Salt Lake City is such a beautiful city. Like, they built that city on rock and roll. No, I'm just joking. They built that city they knew what they were doing, like northeast, southwest. If you know 2nd South and 5th East or whatever, you can get anywhere in the city because it's all just mapped out brilliantly. But yeah, it's gotten so busy and so populated since especially the Winter Olympics. That's about when I moved out of there, around that time. But man, I love Salt Lake City. It's a beautiful city. But man, it's crowded.
It's amazing.
Anyway, yeah. You could drive up into Park City and you're driving up I-80 up towards Parley's Canyon, which is the summit out there. And then when you start driving down into the city, you're like, oh my gosh, it just looks like a toxic cloud.
Yeah. I've
Anyway.
done that drive before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wintertime's the best. Wintertime's the best. I used to work at a little gas station up at the top of Parley Summit, like the only gas station, many, many years ago. And I remember people would drive up there and their cars would overheat because their cars weren't ready for it. So they'd drive down to the gas station. I'd be ready with like the antifreeze and the water. Like, all right, open up your hood. Let's get some of that in there.
Yeah.
Man, back in the day. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so where were we at? Get some Boom Goose and Gladiator barley, folks.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a couple of other things too that are important. One is it's good to eat good food as long as you don't make it into a toxin first and it's not laden with pesticides. But also you have to be able to digest that food. And the older people get, the harder that becomes. And you want to make sure that you always chew your food really well. You know, when you're a child, your mom would be like, chew your food, don't gulp your food. Well, they didn't really know back then, but there are enzymes and bacteria in your mouth that help digest your food. And you want it partly digested when it hits your stomach because it can't get fully digested if you just gulp your food. And so then once it hits your stomach, it secretes, acid and digestive enzymes, and your food gets digested. And then before it goes down into your small intestine, it goes through an alkalizing process so that your small intestine can actually absorb the food. So what we've done, Rex, is for people that are getting older, meaning 35 and older, that we have this really complete digestive enzyme that helps with all of that. So you're going to have a meal, you take a digestive enzyme a little before with your meal. If you forget and you're finished eating, it's not too late, you can still take it. And this will help you digest your food really well so you don't start burping it back up. Because if the food is going to be still in an acidic state because your stomach is still trying to digest it, it's going to get burped up. And then in those digestive enzymes are also alkalizing enzymes that make it acceptable for your small intestine, which can't really accept highly acidic food. And then once it hits your small intestine, it gets further digested, especially the fats, because your pancreas dumps digestive enzymes into your small intestine, and your liver via your gallbladder dumps digestive enzymes in the form of bile salts also. So now your small intestine is going through this further digestion, and now it has to go through absorption. And you have these little hairs called villi that absorb all the nutrients that have been rendered from all the food that you took in. So the nutrients have to be broken out so that they can be absorbed. And as you age, in addition to trouble with digestion, you have trouble with absorption. So those little villi get covered over with plaque as you age. And so you need something to dissolve that plaque and move it out of your body and keep it from reoccurring. And luckily, those compounds are in the Gladiator barley or in the heirloom barley. So now you can cleanse your intestine even if you're 90 years old and restore those villi so that you can absorb nutrients like you were much younger. And if you're taking in good food, cooked properly, chewed properly, with the right digestive enzymes, the right compounds to keep your villi cleansed and robust, now you're going to have a bloodstream that has lots of great nutrients in it. You're able to make your hemoglobin, attach the oxygen to it, move the oxygen into the cells along with the nutrients, and now you have the potential for cellular health, where your cells are provided with everything you need, right? Now, there's one last part to it, Rex, because also as you age, your genes start to get tired, we'll call it, right? But in general, what it is in order for you to make all the proteins that your body needs from all these nutrients you're taking in, you have to have a genetic code tell the cell how to make these proteins. They're extremely elaborate. the proteins that your body makes, and you make 100,000 different ones. And it takes 10,000 different metabolic enzymes in order to construct these proteins, right? And so you have to make sure that your genes are revealing the code. So your DNA is covered with a protein sheath, and it gets pinged and it splays open the revealing code that allows for a copy of it to be made and then create these proteins. But as you age, that expression happens less frequently, and even worse, certain things you don't want to be expressing start expressing more frequently that create inflammation. And so now the new science, a new revolution in nutritional science is, okay, we now know all these genes, we know what they do, and now we're starting the research to say, what can we do to speed up the expression of certain genes and slow down the expression of other ones and create a genetic expression and a potential for health as if you were 20 years old, even if you're 90 or 100 years old. And that is beginning to happen right now. The very first products that are this whole new revolution in health and wellness and revolution in nutrition science are being perfected and are starting to be released for the public. And we'll be talking about those as time goes by, Rex, because as a famous man once said, it's going to be huge. And so,
sorry, Arnold said that. Going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.
Who said that? Who was that?
That's Trump.
Oh, that was Trump. I'm sorry. I was way off there. Yeah. Arnold and Trump together. Arnold is, anyway, he's gone all left, man. What happened? He used to be the Terminator, and now he's like, you must wear your face mask and self-distance yourselves while he's in a hot tub. Like, what the heck, Arnold, man? What happened to you? Anyway.
His brain got fried.
Poor guy.
He didn't use enough gladiator barley.
Yeah. Maybe you need to send him some gladiator barley. Get him back into his old self again, man. He was the freaking barbarian. He was.
I don't know.
What was his name as the barbarian? Conan. He was freaking Conan.
Conan the Barbarian. Absolutely.
Oh, gosh.
And the Terminator.
And the freaking Terminator. And then, Arnold.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry, I digress.
That's right. Hey, the last thing is this also, once you have all this great stuff in your blood and you can attend to your genetic expression, your blood has to move properly, right? Humans are very big organisms. We have, 50 trillion cells, and we're 5 feet tall, 6 feet tall. And we need to be able to get nutrients and oxygen to every cell. And it's done via the blood. And so you have to have a strong heart that's pumping the blood, and you also have to have the right things in place to have your capillaries expand and contract, because your heart doesn't pump blood through your capillaries. They're too small. And they have their own action of expansion and contraction that makes the blood move along. And eating the right foods or taking the right supplement like Boomer Boost has arginine, which gets converted into nitric oxide, which will expand and relax the endothelium, the lining inside your capillaries. And the other really big thing is what's happening with the core of the earth. So our earth is molten, it's iron, and it's spinning. And the earth is also spinning, and that motion creates electromagnetism, and it's coming from the core of the earth, and it's coming all the way out of the earth. And as we're standing on the earth, we're absorbing those pulsed electromagnetic fields that are being produced, and they're being produced by the sun as well. And we have photoreceptors that are absorbing those pulses, and that is helping to relax and stiffen our capillaries to create this blood flow. And again, as we age, we become less photoreceptive and our circulation drops, and you start to see older people with poor circulation. Their feet and legs start to get swollen, and they start to have difficulty with their memory because they don't have enough oxygen to their brain. And what we do, Rex, is we help people get these special circulation mats. And I've been lying on one twice a day for 8 minutes at a time for about the last 7 years. And what it does is it reproduces those pulses coming from the earth, but it's right underneath your mattress pad. And so you're lying right on it, and your circulation improves by 30% immediately the first time you use it. And the effect lasts for about 14 hours, which is why you use it twice a day. And so those, if anybody wants a circulation mat that will do that for you, you can call our 800 number and let us know.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very expensive?
Cool. It depends. There's different versions of them. But one of the good things is we have a person at our office who's really good at helping people get the right credit card to put it on that makes their monthly payment really low. And so you would want to call and ask to talk to Ann. Ann's an expert in PEMFs and an expert in stem cells. She wrote a book about stem cells, and I've interviewed Ann for our podcast talking about pulsed electromagnetic fields. And she's traveled to Europe, to Liechtenstein and Germany, and met the scientists that actually invented this stuff. It's been around for about 30 years. And Ann is really smart. She stops into our office, once or twice a week to hang out and talk about new things she's discovered. And she's awesome.
Right on. I'm showing off some of the podcasts right now, and I just wanted to let people know that are listening. I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this have seen us before because we have a lot of amazing regulars, but far from regular that watch Leak Project shows. But folks, if you didn't know, Bob has spent decades and tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably more likely, on different seminars and courses and licensing and learning the latest in nutrition and the way that the body works. And so he shares all of that for free. And you can watch the blogs and plus a lot of stuff he shared with us here on the podcast on Leak Project and our YouTube channel. Hit the bell for all notifications also. But then subscribe to Boomers Forever Young on YouTube. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick on YouTube. Now, you know what? You need to, I don't care, but this is what you need to do. I'm saying I don't care because I have a feeling what you're going to say. You need to, I'm just joking, but you need to have a product that says Gen X Boost. I don't care if it's the same as the Boomer Boost. Just change the product for us Gen Xers. Because I know there's people out there like, you know what, Rex? I love it. I want to try it, but I'm not going to because it says Boomers on it. Boomers are awesome. I love Boomers, but it's a Gen X. So,
we'll post about it on X. Is that close enough?
What did you say?
We'll post about Boomer Boost on X.
Yeah, there you go. So we're close. We're almost there. Anyway, I'm just joking around, but I'm joking. But people have said that. I'm like, come on.
We tried that once before, Rex.
You did?
Yeah, we did. And we actually called it Super Nutra Complete.
Okay.
And it was Boomer Boost. And it didn't work because it's too difficult with merchant accounts and different websites and promotions to not run afoul of some of the financial regulations. And it wasn't worth the risk. So we stopped doing it.
Yeah. Folks, if you can always take Gen X right there. Just write it down.
Just write it on with a Sharpie.
Get a Sharpie. Exactly. This stuff's freaking awesome. I don't care. You could call this stuff whatever, and I'm still going to buy it and take it because I freaking love it. I think it's amazing. And the Gladiator Barley, love it. It's amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So glad.
Rex, baby boomers were born in 1945, up to 1965. I'm right in the middle. I was born in 56. All right. And there was 80 million people born during that time. All right. But they just had to kind of create a cutoff after 20 years. But the next year, there was just as many people born. So people that don't think they're baby boomers, they actually are, right? They're just not called that anymore. And a lot of the baby boomers have already died. Over 10,000 baby boomers die every year because they're old, right? And so now the people that are Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Y that are coming up, they're actually getting to be the age of the original baby boomers. And if you're 35 years old or older, you need baby boomer type nutrition because your body's already started to change dramatically. There's this cutoff at around 35 where people's bodies begin to change and they need stronger nutrition. They need the strong stuff. So that's what we always say, get the strong stuff, get Boomer Boost. And a lot of young people drink geriatric type drinks that are advertised on television. They're like, wow, they make it real strong for the old people. I want that. And so they'll drink strong nutrition products that are called things like Geritol, right? And young people will drink it, right? And so Boomer Boost is the strong stuff, and it's the real stuff. It's not filled with sugar and maybe some amino acids. This is 66 different nutrients that are in all the right ratios. It's really powerful, really strong. You'll notice a change in your energy right away, whether it's called, Zoom X powder or Boomer Boost. It's the strong stuff.
Zoom X, I like that. Oh, you just gave me an idea. Wow.
Zoom X powder.
Zoom X. Get the Boomer Boost, the Zoom X powder discount.
Yeah, there you go.
Auto ship, 10% extra off. That's true, folks. You'll get an extra 10% off when you do the auto ship. So
that's right.
Do the auto ship, set it up auto ship. You don't have to worry about it. And then just take it every day. Do the 30-day challenge. 30 days. Do it for 30 days. Leave a comment in the comment section. I want to know how you feel after 30 days. I know you're going to love it if you haven't tried it yet. So do it. You'll thank me later. And use so I don't know if they can get 20% off plus 10% plus 50%. They're probably not going to be able to do that, right? I'm just.
Well, there's certain rules about stacking types of discounts.
Right.
Certain times you can only use one discount. But don't forget this. You always build up points.
Okay.
So if you buy something and it's on sale, you still get points. And your points are put in a bank and you can use them to reduce your price of your products. And so even if you want something that's not on sale, just go, hey, I want to use my points. And boom, you probably get more than 10% off using your points. And the people that use their points do really, really well price-wise. A lot of people don't pay attention to them, but it's right there. So if you're trying to get the best discount possible, make sure you always use your points, take advantage of auto ship, watch for the sales. Like right now, buy one, get one half off. You save a lot of money that way. And when you do, the stuff becomes very affordable because remember this, Rex, when people are fully nourished, they eat a lot less food. People are overweight and obese because they're malnourished. They're eating junk food, and so their body craves more food. I need more vitamin C. I need more amino acids. I need more of this, more of that. I need to eat more food, more food. But it's a vicious cycle because they're not getting nutrition. As soon as you start taking Boomer Boost and barley, the average person eats between 1/3 and 1/2 the amount of food. And most people, when they do this, save more money on their food bill than what it costs them to get super nutrition. So don't think of this as an added expense. It's actually a way to save money.
Well, one other question. A good friend of mine is in the Philippines right now, and I want to ship him out some Boomer Boost and Gladiator barley. Can you guys do that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Boom. Okay. Because I tried to send him something through Amazon and it wouldn't let me. So perfect. That'll be great. We'll talk off air then.
That'll be good. And our shipping center is right here. It's 10 feet from my office. And Bill's been working for us for almost 8 years as the shipping manager. And I'll just go right over there and say, hey, man, how do we get this over to the Philippines?
Oh, so cool. Okay. Perfect, man. All right. Well, Bob, I hope you have a beautiful day. And thanks for doing this podcast with me. And thanks for all the information. Thanks for the Gladiator barley, the Boomer Boost. And thanks for being the change the world needs to see. They need more of you. The world needs more of you, man.
Thank you, Rex. Thank you. I'll look forward to our next time.
Absolutely. Me too. And everybody, I hope you have a fantastic day. Hit the bell for all notifications. Check back daily for new content, even if you don't get a notification. I mean, we've got 420,000 amazing subscribers, and for whatever reason, a lot of times they don't get notifications. So just check back daily, make it part of your daily routine, and have a beautiful day.